throughout the world. We are determined to continue to do our part in Ukraine as well. Almost a quarter of Ukraine's territory is contaminated with explosive ordnance. Last year, we decided to make 100 million francs available for humanitarian mine action in Ukraine. The Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining and the Fondation Suisse de Déminage are primarily responsible for implementing this program. Projects will be developed in close cooperation with Ukraine's civilian authorities. They will include mine and explosive ordnance clearance, the promotion of standards and quality in mine clearance, training and operational and material support. Last year, we provided the State Emergency Service of Ukraine with a remote-controlled demining machine from the Digger Foundation. This year, we will deliver 3 more machines from Global Clearance Solutions and provide local training and support. This will enable Ukraine to carry out effective and safe demining operations independently in the future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for today's Ukraine Mine Action Conference here in Lausanne, we have set ourselves the following goals. We aim to raise awareness of the importance of humanitarian mine action in Ukraine and worldwide. Stimulate further going forward based on the Ukrainian mine action strategy, which provides guidance for current and future partnerships, and showcase innovative solutions that will make mine clearance safer and more effective worldwide. 3 thematic areas were defined in the run-up of the Ukraine Mine Action Conference: people, partners, progress. First, the people. In the face of the immense suffering and lasting damage caused by mines, cluster munition, and explosive remnants of war, we must act decisively. Contamination in conflict areas also affect many countries not involved in the conflict. For example, food prices are rising in many countries because Ukrainian land cannot be used safely and productively. Then, the partners. Our aim is for other countries that are also affected by mines or that are providing aid to share their experiences with Ukraine and its partners. For mine action to be effective, governments, international organizations, NGOs, the private sector, and the scientific community must work closely together, and they are all gathered here in Lausanne today. And finally, progress. We must work continuously to make humanitarian mine action safer and more effective. We need to find innovative solutions, for example, by combining the use of artificial intelligence, powerful drones, and robots. The resources we use to clear mines in Ukraine today are also an investment to improve humanitarian demining globally in the future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, humanitarian demining is part of Switzerland's humanitarian tradition. We want to help alleviate suffering and enable sustainable development. That is also the aim of this conference, which we have organized together with Ukraine. In closing, I would like to express my sincere thanks to all of you for your dedication and commitment. Your presence here underscores the crucial support that is so urgently needed and that the people living in mine-affected countries deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam President. His leadership and commitment are an example of determination and resilience. We are honored to hear his perspectives and visions for Ukraine. Welcome to Switzerland, Mr. Prime Minister, Your Excellency, Denis Shmyhal.
Distinguished Madam President, Excellencies, dear friends, dear colleagues, partners, dear ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to thank Switzerland for organizing this conference and for all the support it has provided to our country, to my country. We are grateful for the economic, humanitarian, technical, energy assistance, as well as for contribution and efforts in the field of humanitarian demining. This clearly demonstrates your commitment to security and peace for all. Today we are joined by more than 50 officials, delegations from various parts of the world. I am grateful to each participant and to all the nations that support Ukraine's demining efforts. We face an enormous task. No such demining efforts has been needed in the 21st century, as Ukraine has become the most mined country in the world. Russia's invasion has led to about a quarter of our country being potentially covered with mines and unexploded bombs. The scale of this challenge is truly massive. We are talking about an area of approximately 140,000 square kilometers, nearly 3 times the size of Switzerland. Behind these numbers lies the safety and lives of millions of Ukrainians. And this challenge raises questions. Will farmers be able to cultivate their fields again? Will children be able to play outside safely? Will people be able to live without fear in their own homeland? Experts estimate that without accelerated demining efforts, up to 9,000 civilians could lose their lives. According to the World Bank, the full scope of humanitarian demining in Ukraine will cost around $37 billion, and this figure is likely to grow. Ukraine also requires over 10,000 deminers, as well as hundreds of demining machines. With the support of the international community, we are making steady progress on this path. This year, the government of Ukraine approved the National Mine Action Strategy until 2033, along with an operational plan for its implementation over the next 3 years. Our ambitious goal is to inspect the absolute majority of potentially mined areas by 2033, freeing Ukraine from the dangers of landmines. To achieve this, several key tasks lie ahead. First, we need to establish a competitive mine action management system. Second, we must build a long-term international coalition for Ukraine's demining efforts. Third, we aim to expand the production of demining equipment and adopt innovative methods and technologies. An additional critical task is to increase public awareness about mined areas and educate people about the associated risks. We have achieved significant progress on each of these fronts. Ukraine is developing a comprehensive humanitarian demining service market involving as many organizations and companies as possible to carry out this work. These are so-called mine action operators, whose services are selected through transparent auctions. When we held the demining conference in Croatia last year, there were 19 such operators. Today, that number has risen to 56, and it will continue to grow. We are employing an unprecedented range of the latest technologies and tools for demining, from advanced specialized machinery to artificial intelligence technologies. A single day's work with a large modern demining machine is equivalent to 100 days of manual labor. Ukraine has already started producing some of these machines, but we need your support in this area. This could involve joint ventures or localized production in Ukraine. A year ago, we had only 32 demining machines in operation. Now, there are almost 100. However, these numbers are still far from sufficient. We need more production facilities, training centers, operators, and funding for this work. In building a long-term international coalition, Swiss leadership serves as an excellent example, and we are grateful for this. Thank you. We are grateful that Swiss Federal Council has approved a 4-year humanitarian demining assistance plan for Ukraine, amounting to 100 million Swiss francs. We encourage our partners to adopt similar medium and long-term support programs for demining. This will empower and enhance our international coalition's effectiveness. I call on the entire civilized world to increase support for Ukraine in the field of demining. Together, we can unite around this critical mission. We urge you to join the Lausanne Call to Action, which will be the conference's concluding document. Ladies and gentlemen, demining Ukraine is a global project that must unite the world. Through the unity, we can demonstrate that humanism and solidarity truly mean. I am grateful to all participants of this conference, to all of you. I am thankful to your organizations, governments, countries, and peoples for supporting Ukraine. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your work. Thank you for organizing this conference. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Shmyhal, for your valuable words and for your unwavering commitment during these challenging times. Politicians play a crucial role in guiding us through difficult times and setting the agenda right. Many different actors across the society also contribute, making a positive impact and a driving change. Individuals whose engagement and courage is simply impressive and humbling. One of these persons is Giles Dooley. He started his career as a music photographer. 20 years ago, he changed his focus to documentary work, partnering with charities to highlight lesser-known stories deserving public attention and action. I would like to welcome Mr. Giles Dooley, founder and CEO of the Legacy of War Foundation, UN Global Advocate for persons with disabilities in conflict and peace-building situations. The stage is yours.
I arrived at this conference yesterday with a presentation, ready to sit on stage, and then I rethought, why am I here? There are so many experts in this room, politicians, donors, representatives of countries. And I thought, what is my purpose here? And yesterday I was speaking to a friend on the phone and we were talking about their work. And they said, thank you for reminding me of my purpose. That's why I love you as a friend. And I thought, that's why I am here, as a friend, to remind us all of our purpose in being here. I also wanted to make a statement about my shorts. I never wear shorts. I don't like the attention I get around my prosthetic legs. But I had 2 messages come to me this week from people who've been injured in conflict. The countries don't matter because I know this happens globally and has happened to me. One of them was telling me that him and his friends were asked to leave a swimming pool because people were upset at seeing their amputations. Another person told me they'd been asked to leave a cafe because seeing their prosthetics had upset some mothers in that room. So, again, as always, I'm changing things. So Tash from my team last night was cutting my trousers, turning them into shorts, because I wanted to sit here in solidarity with everybody who walks with an injury, who has visible scars, who has prosthetics. Because we should be proud of the people. We should support them. There should never be anybody that feels uncomfortable who is asked to leave a public space because of the injuries they carry. So that is why I'm wearing my shorts today. And why am I here generally? As was mentioned, about 20 years ago, I left my life as a rock and roll photographer, which was a lot of fun, I have to say, to start documenting the impact of war. I have one gift, and that's as a storyteller, as a photographer. And I wanted to use that to try and create change. I always said I was not a photojournalist. I was an angry man with a camera. And actually, the first project I did was in Angola with the Mines Advisory Group, looking at the legacy of landmines there. And I had never really come across this issue. And seeing these villages and children that had been maimed and killed because of these legacy weapons really affected me. And I knew that landmines, UXO, was going to be the main focus of my work. That's why I set up my foundation, Legacy of War Foundation, because it is so important that we realize that these weapons continue to kill long after peace treaties are signed. It was while doing this work in 2011 that I had what I say was a really bad day at the office in Afghanistan. I lost both my legs, my arm. I spent 1 year in hospital. But I was lucky enough to be able to return to work and continue what I do. 3 years after that injury, in 2015, 1 year after the war in Ukraine began, I went there to start documenting the impact of war. Again, most specifically, the issue of landmines. And I have continued to do that work. In fact, I just traveled 36 hours from the front lines near Kharkiv, where I was quite literally in the trenches. I still have the mud on my feet. And I can tell you, when you're near the front lines, the situation for UXO in landmines is greater than any of us can truly imagine. After 20 years of documenting conflict, I have never seen anything on that scale. It is truly overwhelming. And I have been overwhelmed by doing this work. 2 years ago, I was working near Bakhmut, some of the worst fighting in Ukraine. I have ambulances on the front line through my organization. We'd seen a lot of civilian casualties. And I needed a break. And I drove, and I didn't really know where I was going. And I ended up in France, in Verdun, the scene of some of the worst fighting in World War I. For some reason, I needed to visit those old battlefields, to walk along those old trench lines, to be reminded of the history. There is an area there known as the Zone Rouge, an area still so contaminated from UXO, from World War I, that nobody can enter. And while I was there, a farmer on his tractor was killed by one of these legacy bombs. It brought something home to me. It made me realize that if we do not clear the ordnance in Ukraine, there is a child not yet born that will die from this war. That is the legacy. That is the choice we have to make. I returned from that trip more invigorated to do my work in Ukraine. I was visiting a lot of injured servicemen and civilians, many of them amputees, many of them in their darkest moments. And I would sit with them and I would say, I know what it is like to be in that moment. In that darkest moment where you see no future. But I said, look at me. I am an example of you can be a survivor. You can live a full life. My body was broken by war and hatred, but it was rebuilt by love. And there is no greater love than in Ukraine for those who have been injured in this terrible war. Now I continue to do my work, and it's not easy. I'm in pain most days. Physically, it can be very challenging for me. But I have a purpose. When I was injured, I spent 1 year in hospital. The first 46 days of that, when I was in intensive care, I could only communicate by blinking. I was then told I would never walk, never live independently, never have a life. My experience, like many landmine survivors, having to rebuild a new life. I remember 3 months after my injuries, I was well enough to be transferred to a wheelchair for the first time and have a shower. I saw myself in a mirror, and I was repulsed and disgusted. Scars across my body, the missing limbs. When they put me back in my bed, I cried myself to sleep. And I remember thinking, I wished I'd just passed away in Afghanistan because I was not brave enough to deal with this new reality. And I know this is the reality for so many survivors, not recognizing themselves, not wanting to live this new life. But I woke up the next morning, I'm notoriously stubborn, and the next morning I woke up, and there was a mantra in my mind, something that I have repeated to myself every day since, and something I want to share with everybody in this room. I woke up the next day and I said to myself, from this moment on, I will never think about what I can't do. But I will focus on what I can and what I can control, and I will be the very best at that. When we look at issues such as landmines, UXO, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by the situation. It's a global crisis. It's a global situation, not just Ukraine. We can't stop the wars. Maybe we can't stop the use of landmines and UXO. But what we can do is focus every day on clearance, on making sure economies thrive, to making sure there are less people injured, to make sure those who are injured are supported to have lives like I had. 18 months after my injury, I returned to Afghanistan to continue my work. I remember a lot of people said to me, you have nothing to prove. Why are you doing this? And I told them the story of a young boy called Atola. Atola was 12 years old. He was walking to school in Afghanistan, just a few miles from where I got injured. It was literally, I think, 2 months after I got injured. And on his way to school that day, he stepped on a landmine. He lost an arm and a leg. I met him in the ICRC limb fitting center in Kabul, and I will never forget his face. People ask me, do you get emotional when you do your work? And I say, no, in many ways, like a surgeon, I just focus. But on this particular day, in fact, the first photograph I'd taken after my injury, as I looked through my viewfinder, my eyes were streaming. I was watching Atola walking up and down between the two supporting bars with his small plastic leg and plastic arm. It was like he didn't even see me. He walked backwards and forwards. And when people ask me, why do you continue to go back? I say because of Atola. Because if my work means one child does not have to go through what I go through every day, the physical pain, the emotional pain, then I have done my job. And I sit here today as a friend to remind you all that is what our purpose is. I have shared these stories. I have shared my story. I will leave here believing that I've done that purpose, that because of the work that you do, one less child will have to go through what I go through, will not have to suffer that. But it is up to you, because in this room, there is the power, there is the belief, and there are the people that can make sure there is not a child not yet born who will suffer in Ukraine and in other countries in the world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Dioli, for sharing your experience, for your moving speech, for speaking about love and purpose. Thank you very much indeed. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, when arriving into this plenary hall, you might have already seen some photos of Giles Dioli. There is an exhibition right here outside in the hall. It's called Defining Futures, People, Tech and Teams for Mine-Free Ukraine. The exhibition is organized by the United Nations Development Programme and the Legacy of War Foundation and aims to raise awareness about mine action and mine victim assistance in Ukraine by featuring a mosaic of experiences from those of a professional deminer and a war veteran to those of a medical worker and a politician. I would also like to inform you that there is another exhibition in Lausanne about his work. It is at the platform 10, right next to the station of Lausanne, the train station. It features an exhibition work, The Things They Carried, Objets de Mort. The exhibition features 20 photographs of landmines used in various conflicts from Afghanistan to Ukraine and Vietnam. Photographed as precious objects, these devices of death are transformed into works of art. Now let's make some room again for music for our Swiss-Ukrainian trio, who has been taking us on a journey through different musical styles and musical traditions. And I would like to underscore it, the Ukrainian music we have heard reflects the richness of the Ukrainian people's tradition.
Down yonder green valley, where streamlets meander, when twilight is fading, I pensively roam, or at the bright noontide in solitude wander, amid the dark shades of the loneliest grove. 'Twas there while the blackbird was joyfully singing, I first met my dear one, the joy of my heart. Loud as for gladness, the blue bells were ringing. Ah, then little thought I know soon we should part. Still glows the bright sunshine over valley and mountain. Still warbles the blackbird, is known from the tree. Still trembles the moonbeam on streamlet and fountain. But what are the beauties of nature to be? With sorrow, deep sorrow, my bosom is laden. All day I go mourning in search of my love. The echoes, oh tell me, where is the sweet maiden? She sleeps neath the green turf down by the ash grove.
Thank you to our trio. Thank you to Yulia Shevchenko, Davide Di Pilato, and Liga Liedesklinian. I would like to take advantage of their valuable presence and of their artistic world. I would like to ask a question to Yulia, who can speak Ukrainian if she wants on stage, with pleasure. Welcome, Yulia.
Дякую.
Yulia, you came to Switzerland in 2022. I told it already. And you have brought your instrument and your folk music to Switzerland, which is now your second home. You live in Bern. So I would like to ask you, which space does your music find here? Do we like this music? How we appreciate it?
Доброго дня, шановні
Good morning,
гості.
dear guests. Let me, first of all, extend my words of gratitude for the invitation. It's so nice for me to be here with you. And I want to thank Switzerland and the people of this country for this warm and welcoming reception, because I've had a number of concerts since I arrived here in Switzerland. And I can see how our Ukrainian folk music and songs are enjoyed here in the country, and how much interest they trigger, and they inspire people to help Ukraine, and it opens up souls and paves the way for cultural exchange between Switzerland and Ukraine. It's so nice for me to realize that through the Ukrainian songs and my Bandura play, I can show part of my country, part of our culture here in Switzerland, and get people to know about our music, hear it, enjoy our songs, and I can see a lot of positive feedbacks from this nation towards our country. And
I'll see you later. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And now let's move on to the plenary panel dedicated to a topic of great importance: strategic approach to mine action, global experience and Ukraine's perspective. For this part, I will pass the microphone to Ambassador Tobias Privitelli, Director of the Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining. Guten Morgen.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm happy to be here. Welcome to Lausanne. It is my honor to open this plenary panel on the relevance of national strategies for mine action. I'm delighted to give the floor now to Her Excellency, the First Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko, for a keynote speech. Please, Yulia.
Dear esteemed partners, dear guests, dear colleagues, President Viola, Prime Minister Denis Anatolievich, Ignatius Cassis, of course, Governor Buffett, our friend Giles, you know, this audience full of our friends. And it's a pleasure being here today with you discussing the humanitarian demining issue and the progress we have made and lessons that can serve as a valuable foundation, not only for Ukraine, but globally over the next decades. So I will try to show you our small presentation, but it's a very important one. The scale of challenge Ukraine faced was unprecedented. Neither we, nor the world, were prepared for it. As of 2024, 174,000 square kilometers was potentially contaminated. It's equivalent of 3 Switzerland. And now we have updated numbers, and already 35,000 square kilometers was surveyed and returned to potential use, to productive use as a safe. Like a butterfly effect, this impacts not only Ukrainians, but the entire world, and especially global food security. That's why the mining issue, it's one of the steps of part of the food security of peace formula by President Zelensky. And I would like to take this opportunity and to thank Switzerland once again for organizing the first peace summit. For us, it was extremely important. It was a really historical event. So thank you for this. So when I said that both we and the world was not prepared, I mean not just psychological readiness. It's primarily concerns that heavy machines, equipment, so it concerns resources that we lack. In 2023, Ukraine had no heavy machine for the mining and only 6 mine clearance operators. Upon seeing this resource, the Washington Post states that complete demining would take 700 years in Ukraine. However, they did not account for that pace at which we are progressing right now. So let me show you briefly the progress that we have in a very short video.
The mining of Ukraine is the biggest global challenge since World War II. But at the same time, the most significant progress in this field in the last century. In just 1 year, Ukraine developed its own heavy machine for demining, testing drones and remote land surveying technologies, analyses with AI satellite images and craters from shelling in the soil, implementing a unique data-driven tool for the efficient allocation of limited resources for demining. All this is for the safety of Ukrainians, the safety of Ukrainian fields, the safety of millions of people worldwide, because the grain harvested in Kharkiv this summer is the bread for counties of the global south in winter. Because every cleared inch of Ukrainian land today is an opportunity for millions of Ukrainians to carry on living in their native land tomorrow.
The pace that we have taken is rather impressive, but it won't be possible without your help and support. Our objective for the next 10 years is to return 80% of potentially contaminated land to productive use. Achieve this goal, we can only through the systematic action and strategic approach. This is precisely why we adopted and why we work out the mine action strategy. And I'm really grateful to our partners, first of all to Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining, who contributed and supported us on the way to develop these documents. So the strategy sets as 3 strategic goals you might see on the screen. So the core is to protect people and to restore safety in communities. So it means mine gender-based risk education, provide social support and reintegration of victims of explosive ordnance, assess and eliminate environmental impact. Second one is ensuring the land is returned to its safe and productive use. So this includes systematic, non-technical, technical survey and clearance, developing the market for mine action services, developing national capacity within the country, and introducing innovation. And the third one, ensuring effective mine action system management for task prioritization, data management, and resource allocation. So the strategy is a long-term vision of Ukraine for the next 10 years. We have also approved implementation plan for the upcoming 3 years and already started to implement it. So the implementation plan will ensure the protection of the victim assistance and risk education. For instance, in collaboration with UNDP, we conducted training courses specializing in the use of uncrewed aerial vehicles and image analysis for humanitarian and action, so immediate success. So 4 of our 10 individuals who have been suffered from explosive ordnance, now they're part of the Hello Trust organization, and it's just the pilot projects, and I truly believe that it's our task and priority to bring more people that have been suffered so they can serve for the government, they can serve for mine operators, and I think that they receive jobs, and also it gives them hope and sense to wake up in the morning. Is something that Giles just mentioned in his speech. The second is to help farmers, and I look to Governor Buffett. So I know that you're very focused on return the land to productive use and to help farmers. So we allocate right now 75 million within our Ukrainian budget for a state support mechanism for farmers to invite, and we're also inviting partners to join this mechanism. So the idea is to launch tenders in our Prozora system and to refund 100% of service for the mine and technical and non-technical survey. So now the Humanitarian Mine Action Center has announced a total 20 tenders in the system covering over 6,000 hectares. So between 2 and 6 participants competed in this bidding process, and the price drop during the auction exceeded 18%. And we hope that this tool will help us to open the mining market, will bring more resources to this market, and will help to speed up the process of non-technical survey, and will help us to return back land to productive use as soon as possible. Of course, we need innovation, and of course, we need innovation in technical and non-technical survey. And for example, we're working with one of our partners, and for example, with one tool, you can get easily understand and estimate that more than 7,000 pupils and 765 teachers are at risk at the potentially mined plots that are located within 15 kilometers around the school in Kharkiv region. So it also gives us help and give us tool how to prioritize our resources. I mean, for the Ministry of Interior Affairs and both Ministry of Defense, so to be more effective. And we also need innovation in financing tools to ensure sustainability in the mine action, and we are going to discuss it within this conference. And of course, you know that I am a Minister of Economy, 2-in-1, so, and my idea is to return to the growth that we had before the war. So we want to localize mine action equipment, and we want to be able to produce machines made in Ukraine. And I'm delighted to inform you that Dokin company already localized the production in Ukraine, and they're already open their office, and 45 of their machines are already operating in Ukrainian fields, and 8 of these docking machines were manufactured in Ukraine. Also, second, we are working on development of our own machines for the mining, and even here have the first certified Ukrainian-made demining vehicle. One of them is me. Today we have the CEO of this company, and he would have the opportunity to speak with you during the next 2 days. And lastly, we promote principle, let's support Ukraine with Ukrainian resources. So we already have positive example when UN agency have purchased equipment from Ukrainian manufacturers. What does it mean for economy? 40% of the cost return in the way of taxes to our budget. So it means that it also not only way to create working places, but it also for us additional source for income for our budget. So our strategic goal is to increase national capacity and support the economy with the new jobs and taxes. And of course, our goal is to build sustainable and long-term support of our partners based on strategic priorities. And we are grateful for all support you provided to us. Our sectorial working group on the mining now consists of 69 different partners, countries and organizations, and the fact that this conference is organized on such high level demonstrates that this support remains very strong, and we're very grateful for this. We cannot always fully assess the real impact of our efforts. I just will mention for you 2 numbers. If we do not clear Ukraine lands of mine in 10 years, the number of victims from explosive devices could reach 9,000 people. It's something that Giles, you just mentioned, that even children that are not born yet can be the victims of this war within a long like decades. So the second number highlights the global impact. And before Russia, Ukraine was feeding 400 million people around the world. Therefore, the issue of the mining has no border. It's a matter of global security for us. I'm sorry, but I think that I almost broke this microphone. Sorry for that. So today I also brought a special box. Box for me, so I brought it to Lausanne and I will pass it to the president. So inside this box there are napkins and also so napkins made by women from Sumy region. So Sumy region border with Russia, and also this box has food harvested from the demined land in Mykolaiv region. It's a symbol for us, so Governor Barfit, I know that you got the first one, so second one will go to the President of Switzerland. And so this is a simple how you can support us and how it can impact how the demining activity impact the real life of real people in Ukraine. And when you sit down with your families with these napkins made by these women and food grown by farmers on the occupied and demined land, we want to remember and to remind you that thanks to your efforts, to your collective efforts, these people can live in safety. Thanks to our effort, this food made from Ukrainian vegetable and grain is not just here today, it's feeding people in more than 50 countries around the world, especially in those who are in higher risk of hunger. From Nadia in Sumy, who made these napkins for you, to family in Somalia who baked bread with grain harvested. So this box is a symbol of the butterfly effect, where the safety of people in Ukraine influence the safety of people globally. So none of this would be possible without your support. So today I have a special mission to thank you on behalf of Nadia and all these ladies from Sumy region, for all Ukrainians, for making our land safety. They are soul of our Ukrainian soil. So thank you for your attention. And President, it's for you.
Fantastic, thank you, Дякую дуже. Please, Your Excellency, would ask you to take a seat right here. I would now invite the participant of the panel to join us here. I have to invite His Excellency Gordon Radman, the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Croatia, please. I'm delighted to invite His Excellency Dr. Lee Tuch, Senior Minister of Cambodia, Vice President of the Mine Action Center. And finally, His Excellency Mr. Stanley Brown, Acting Secretary of State of the US State Department.
Good to see you.
In this panel, we will focus on what Giles called the overwhelming problem of mine action in Ukraine with a mid- and long-term perspective. Her Excellency, I was in Kiev last week. I was impressed by the steps you already undertook and by the state-of-the-art setup that you installed. The scenario is the following. I give the floor to the panelists for a short input, and then would ask you to give a feedback on the reflections that you heard. The Geneva Center for International Humanitarian Demining has no deminers on the ground, but we are focusing since many years on legislation, strategy, information management, and we're happy to be able to accompany Ukraine as one of the partners in the last few months and years. Let me start with Minister Radman. Mr. Radman, Croatia had a tremendous problem of mine contamination after the war of the 90s, but then the country became a global leader in technology and developed a national market for mine action. We'd be happy if you could outline that development.
Yeah, thanks so much, and Mr. Ambassador. And first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Swiss Confederation and Madam President Viola Armand and of course, my good friend and Foreign Minister Ignacio Cassis, and I welcome, I'm very pleased to see our Prime Minister of Ukraine, Shmyhal, and of course, Yulia Shviridenko, the first Deputy Prime Minister, and my colleagues from Kosovo, from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and others. I really was delighted and to take part and to come here. Of course, and first of all, I will start by reiterating our full and unwavering support to Ukraine in all aspects. And just a week ago, and we hosted in Dubrovnik their third Ukraine Southeast Europe Summit, and with the highest level participation so far. And the leaders of the summit adopted a very important declaration which confirms our support, our readiness, and to support to Ukraine, and of course, and your Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic path. It's something unique, and that it never happened before, that we were able just to gather all the 6 countries of the Western Balkans. You know that how it's important it's because of the malign influence of the third countries there and so on. And of course, some the countries of the vicinity, European countries, Slovenia, Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, even Turkey, High Representative, and the OECD Secretary General and the European Commission. But just even also before we hosted the first parliamentary summit on the International Crimea platform. It was 2 years ago in Zagreb, in Croatia. It was the first. And I like also to mention that we are very proud to be under the Croatia in the third world. Is the third world in terms of share of humanitarian aid and regarding in GDP. So when it comes to the size of the country and inhabitants and so on. And just as you mentioned that who more than Croatia understand and better the situation in Ukraine, because Croatia was a victim of aggression, and we know very well how was it. I lost also my 2 members of family who just stepped on those unexploded mines, and then of course finally they exploded. Unfortunately, they are dead. So I moved also personally and as a veteran in the very beginning of 1990s. So this Croatia understood, of course, very well the threats posed by mines and unexploded ordnance, so which you also mentioned and in your speech today, which unfortunately left a deadly legacy after our victory in the Homeland War. And this is something that, so why Croatia, why we recognize the importance and really that this mine contamination is a problem, not only of domestic security, but also the economic development and environment, of course, issue. You mentioned 700 years, and it's happened, the Homeland War in Croatia 33 years ago, and we still are just demining the rest of the countries, and just you mentioned the return to the agriculture, to the productive use of the agriculture. I hope to be finished in the 2025, 2026. And of course, as an outcome, as a result of the last 3 decades, we have developed a reputable and of course international recognized mine action system with technical resources which compare favorably on the global scale, and educated, well-trained and motivated staff. So Julia, Madam Prime Minister mentioned docking. Docking is well-known Croatian company, and lastly they opened in the September office in Kiev. during a visit of my Prime Minister, and we were accompanying him with 3 ministers there. We also, during the Dubrovnik summit, we used the opportunity to sign an agreement between Prime Minister Andrej Plenković and President Zelensky, agreement on a long-term cooperation and support to Ukraine. But actually, we just formalized already existing activities we're doing, and we will do it in the future. And all this put us, of course, in the situation of providing a strong and targeted assistance to Ukraine in the field of mine action. We are very connected, well-connected, Croatia and Croatia in this regard. And there are our representatives from docking out there today, and tomorrow they will take part of the panel. And of course, and this is why Croatia also last year organized, together with Ukraine, the first international donor conference for humanitarian demining in Ukraine. And we are able just to collect $500 million of euros just to help Ukraine in this regard. I am also pleased that, of course, today, and thanks to our Swiss host, and thank you so much, Ignacio, for organizing this very important conference. Thank you so much for organizing also this peace summit also in Birkenstock, where I was together with my Prime Minister, and of course under the able leadership of the Swiss Confederation. And as you know, the Croatia's support when it comes to Ukraine in the field of mine action is multiple. And recently we have developed a comprehensive two-track package of support that has been offered to Ukraine in this regard. And during our visit of Ukraine, our Prime Minister Plenković, namely these packages includes training in explosive ordnance disposal and quality management for members of the Ukrainian Armed Forces and the State Emergency Service of Ukraine, and procurement of demining equipment, demining machines, helmets, vests, detectors, and so on. But together with UNDP, it's very important we also engage in our flagship mine action project, namely UNDP program. UNDP contracted one heavy robotic demining machine from the Croatian company, docking, the 8 already localization of the 8, they produced 8 machines in Ukraine. And this follows the beginning of the, of course, localization of production of dockings, the MV4 machine in Ukraine, which is an excellent incentive for even stronger cooperation between us, Croatia, and Ukraine businesses. Is very important. And of course, we are contributing to in the European level, Union's comprehensive mine action program as well for Ukraine with the Croatian national technical expertise. Mine clearance is so vital for food also security, very important for agriculture, which is why we contributed financially to the project of demining and revitalization of agriculture areas in Ukraine. And it is also worth just finally to mention that our Croatian expert, he is here with us, Mr. Davor Laura. He is serving as the Vice President of the International Advisory Board of the Ukrainian Center for Humanitarian Demining. And finally, I'm really very pleased, and I am involved in that Ukrainian 512 children from war-affected areas spent their summer and winter holidays in Croatia, but not also because of holidays, just they received valuable education about safety from mines. So from my side, it's okay.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Lituch from Cambodia. Cambodia has a long, and I would also say tragic experience with mines. Would be happy to hear what your reflections are and what the Ottawa Convention played, what role it played for your country, because you're presiding the Ottawa Convention this year.
Thank you, Ambassador Privately. Madam President, Mr. Prime Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is both a privilege and responsibility, a profound responsibility for me to be here today with you as we convene to address the urgent challenge of my action in Ukraine, and also the challenge which remains a pervasive legacy of conflict worldwide. First, I'd like to Madam President, and through you to the people of Switzerland, I want to express our gratitude for your great people and the country for caring about the people in suffering situations worldwide. We thank for your compassion and generosity, Switzerland. Mr. Prime Minister, through you to your people, Cambodia experienced war in the past. We feel, we sense your suffering. We stay with you. Cambodia continue to support you in any way possible in my action sector. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today as we discussed strategic approaches to my action, I am reminded of the enduring journey for the Cambodian people, a journey defined by resilience, innovation, and most importantly, hope. Over the past decades, Cambodia has transformed fields of despair into lands of opportunity, all through collective will, partnership, and a compassionate embrace of humanitarian mind action. Humanitarian mind action as a bridge to recovery. My action is not merely a technical challenge. It is humanitarian imperative. It is about restoring lives, providing hope, and creating a safer future for our children. The removal of landmines is more than clearing a path. It is reclaiming our right to peace, education, health, and prosperity. It also brings back hope to the farmers who can still have their land again, to the child who can walk to school without fear, and to the community that can rebuild on a foundation of security. In Cambodia, we have learned that the real measures of success in my action is not simply the square meters cleared, but the lives transformed. For us, my action means freedom. Freedom to strive, to dream, and to build without fear. It is this experience of transformation that we share with you today in solidarity with all communities affected by these hidden remnants of war. The power of partnership and exchange of knowledge. The challenge of my actions are vast, and no country can address them alone. Ukraine had the size of Florida, contaminated by mines. Ukraine cannot do it alone. Cambodia's experience has been one of the collaboration, working side by side with international partners, learning from one another, and developing solutions that suit our shared challenges. I believe deeply in the transformative power of partnerships. It is in the spirit of cooperation that we learn, adapt, and renovate, and ensuring that our collective efforts yield lasting change. We applaud the strong focus of Ukraine Mine Action Conference 2024 on partnerships and the exchange of know-how, which is at the core of effective mine action. Together, we are not merely dismantling mines, we are dismantling the barriers to human dignity and progress. We are not just investing in mine clearance, but in the liberation of potential, in economic revival, and in social resilience. Yes, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Cambodia's experience demonstrates that long-term commitment, collaboration, and adaptability are critical to success. Patience and perseverance are key. My action is a long-term process. But through sustained effort and commitment, it is possible to restore safety and pave the way for recovery. And for that, with all of you, Cambodia stands ready to share its lessons and offer its support to Ukraine in this effort. Innovation as a driver of progress. I also wish to commend the emphasis on innovation. In Cambodia, technological advancements have helped us transform my action from a labor-intensive struggle to a more sophisticated, effective, and most importantly, safer operation. From new demining techniques to the application of remote sensing technologies, innovation has been the driving force behind our success. It is this progress that I am proud to share here so that other nations, such as our friends in Ukraine, may find aspiration in adapting and conceptuating these approaches to their needs. A shared commitment to humanity. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let us remember that the heart of my actions lies a shared commitment to humanity. Mine clearance is more than a technical task. It is a testament to what we value as a global citizens: the sanctity of life, the pursuit of peace, and the determination to overcome even the deepest scars of conflict. Cambodia stands in solidarity with all affected countries in striving for a mine-free world. Mr. Murray, Your Excellency, as President of the Fifth Review Conference of the Ottawa Convention, we will take place in Siem Reap at Angkor Wat in Cambodia. It is my honor to invite all of you to join us as we continue our important mission. The Fifth Review Conference will serve as a crucial moment for us to reflect on our progress, strengthen our commitment, and strategize our collective way forward. Cambodia pledges to continue advocating for robust international cooperation, increased funding, and renewed political will to realize our vision of a world free from landmines. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let us leave this conference inspired, committed, and united. Let us ensure that our work today lays the foundation for a safer and more prosperous tomorrow, where every landmine is removed becomes a step forward, healing, and every field cleared becomes a field of opportunity. With all this, I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Finally, I'm happy to give the floor to Acting Assistant Secretary Stanley Brown for a short input from the donor perspective. The US is the biggest donor in mine action worldwide, and I would be happy to hear what national strategies mean for a donor like the US.
Well, thank you. Madam President, Mr. Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to first start by saying, express my sincere thanks to the government of Switzerland and Ukraine for holding this conference. All the countries represented here today is an indication of how our strong support and unwavering support for Ukraine and humanitarian demining rightly deserves our full attention. So thank you. I want to commend the government of Ukraine and Deputy Prime Minister Severnenko personally for her work initiating and completing the strategy. As with so many other areas, Ukraine is showing its commitment to innovate, to address the technical and bureaucratic challenges, to tackle this threat to its population and economy as quickly as possible, and to work, quite frankly, collaboratively with all of us, Ukraine's, our dedicated partners that are helping Ukraine every step of the way. The United States is fully supportive of this strategy and remains committed to demining efforts in Ukraine. Just a few weeks ago, our Secretary Blinken traveled to Ukraine and pledged an additional $102 million for humanitarian demining in Ukraine, bringing the United States total contributions to around $284 million. This issue is personally important to me. One of my first roles at the State Department was leading what we call our conventional weapons destruction programs. And it's an area where we feel diplomacy meets everyday lives. Our partnership with Ukraine goes beyond our militaries. It extends to the millions of men, women, and children who must face the daily threat of unexploded ordnance and landmines. And with the recent announcement from the Secretary, our commitment is only growing stronger in that regard. Naturally, we're interested in making sure that aid is used to maximum effect, both for the sake of Ukraine's recovery, and so we can also tell the American taxpayers that they got what they paid for. So with that, we invest a lot of time talking to our partners on the ground and learning about their challenges and what could be improved. It's clear from this strategy that Ukraine also did a lot of listening to partners talk about this. So as Ukraine and its partners move forward in implementing this strategy, I want to highlight a few lessons learned from the United States experience supporting demining efforts globally. So from a global perspective, the United States has donated more than $5 billion since 1993 to around 125 countries. So what this has done is given us plenty of examples of demining programs that can succeed and those programs that struggle. So the first thing is a strong national strategy is essential to the long-term success of demining efforts. We've supported demining in several countries, and that's an area where the government is, for various reasons, sometimes where the governments aren't able to articulate a strategic vision. When you can't do that, that creates a significant risk that demining affects only the tactical results and not the strategic results that you're trying to achieve. So in contrast, when you have a national strategy like Ukraine, all available resources goes to the priorities that have been outlined, which is very good. What it does is it influences the balance of different activities and holds everyone in the sector accountable if they start to diverge from those priorities. It ensures the proper sequencing of demining activities with broader recovery and development efforts. So as a donor, we are careful to stay in full alignment with the strategies that are available to our partners. This requires constant dialogue, and we will continue to do that with Ukraine, and so that we can adjust those approaches when it's appropriate to do so. While Ukraine's main objectives are prioritized over the next 9 years, the evolving context on the ground will cause adjustments in the strategy, and we're prepared to work with you on that. Those are things like such as demining, where demining teams are working, and the ratio of maybe survey to clearance and things of that nature that'll evolve as the strategy evolves. One of the things that we always do from a United States perspective is work to strengthen the national ownership of the demining programs as much as possible. This is already featured in the Ukraine strategy, and countries that have a strong political will, that coordinate, and that have technical capacity, our experience is they have a huge advantage, and so we should take advantage of that with Ukraine. As you spoke, Croatia is a prime example of a recipient of assistance turning into a donor of assistance, and it goes because of the strategy, clearing the last minefields, and we see that possibilities with the close coordination with Ukraine in the future. To date, we have trained more than 1,300 individuals in various demining courses in Ukraine, and issued something like over 2,100 certificates to Ukrainian deminers. So looking as a donor community, we should also support efforts to localize your demining work especially capacity building for Ukrainian NGOs and companies along the way. Excuse me. So to that end, I'm proud to announce that the United States will support a needs assessment of all accredited Ukrainian demining organizations and strengthen their understanding of donor priorities, funding mechanisms, and reporting requirements in order to help them access international donor funding in that regard. We're also considering partnerships, opportunities between international and national operators as a first step to help build their Ukrainian capacity and to help build trust in the sector. I encourage other donors to join us in that effort. And one of Ukraine's strengths with the strategy was its inclusive approach to the strategy. It reflects a genuine understanding of what needs to be done over the next 9 years to tackle the massive challenge ahead of them. And so the United States is prepared and will stand with you to see this through. And thank you for the opportunity to address the audience this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Fascinating. Going back now to you, Excellency. Was this a useful exchange? Do you see parallels between Ukraine and the national experiences you heard, Yulia?
I think yes. I think it was and it is very useful to have this discussion with our main partners, with our strategic partners, and I do believe that like partnership and the strategy vision that we have is actually the key success for returning potentially contaminated land to productive use. I just wanted to in my conclusion, to say that our main task, I would say, the whole government, and to be more self-sufficient. And of course, we need to have economy that operates well. That's why we need to be more innovative and to get more partners on board for the mining activity. And I think that all countries prove that actually we should be focused on that, on building the long strategic partnership with the countries that share the same experience, are ready to provide this, to share this experience with us. And of course, innovation is a key, because you've heard this 700 years, and it's obvious that it can be targeted for our government. So that's why we want to have, yes, we want to have to speed up all the procedures, and that's why we need to be more innovative. And that's why we're so grateful for the experience you shared, and for the innovation that we've got from the battlefield. Unfortunately, Ukraine now, it seems one big battlefield for testing new technologies, like in defense, in the mining activity. So that's why it also for us in the future can be a very strong expert position. I mean, if we speak about our experience and about our heavy machines and about robots and about AI that now we're trying to use, trying to evaluate the risk within the country. So for Croatia developed actually national demining strategy, something like we do. So that's why it was a good example how we should act in these extraordinary circumstances. And also you have been combining state resources and international support. It's also that we need. And you also involved private sector in the mining activity. It's something that we're also trying to do right now. For Cambodia, we already sent our deputy minister that in charge of the mining activity to Cambodia, and he all returned back with the idea that we need to develop innovation and to focus on that. That's why we're providing granting money also for setting up some innovative projects, and we do believe that innovation is a driving force. And of course, US is one of the biggest donor for the mining activity globally, and I hope that you would stand with Ukraine until the last mine would be taken away, no matter how long it will take. I hope less than 700 years. But in general, I would like to underline once again that everybody should understand that it's really zero stage for reconstruction. There is no sense to discuss infrastructural projects, how to restore the regions without the mining. So first of all, we need to discuss what should be the mining activity, in which regions, in which gramada. It's something that actually Cambodia did. So they provide the mining activity, and both they have worked out master plan of reconstruction. So it was done like together. So I think that it's also this type of experience that we need. The mining activity and master plan for reconstruction. So that's why it's obvious and logical that last year we had Croatia conference in Zagreb. This year it's Switzerland, Lausanne. Next year it's going to be Japan. And I think it's very important, like we have reconstruction conference on an annual base, we should have the same conference on the mining activity annually to keep focusing and to keep to increase awareness about the mining activity, because obviously it's zero stage for the whole reconstruction of the country. And we should not wait until the war will be finished. We should provide this demining activity right now, because as we said, that like in the 10 years, it might be like 9,000 victims if we won't start now. And that's why we're very grateful for organizing this conference once again and for the attention to this subject, because it's extremely important for us. And as I want to underline once again, we don't have 700 years, so let's work right now. Let's be very focused, and let's follow our strategies that have been passed by our government together and have been worked out together with our main partners. So thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the panelists. Thanks to Her Excellency. I hope it will not be 700 years. I hope Ukraine will be a model for probably the speediest and most efficient demining we've seen so far. Regarding the gift box, I was impatient. I opened one. It's a fascinating gift. Those heads of delegations who did not yet receive it, you can get them at the information. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm handing over again to Chada. Thanks for this great conversation. Thank you.
Just 1 minute left. 1 minute left. May I say something?
Thank you.
Have to go. No.
Let's go.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I dream to come to Cambodia to see you.
I would like to thank Ambassador Tobias Privitelli and the distinguished panelists. This world is full of conflicts and full of things that cannot be reconciled. But there are moments when we can reconcile and embrace the whole mess, and that's what I mean by Hallelujah. Leonard Cohen.
A secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king who bows in hallelujah. Покараєш злих царів за сльози наших матерів, і твою волю як свою прийму я. Країна наша розцвіте, я знаю, ти бажаєш це, тобі співаю славу, алелуя.
thank you to our trio also for this wonderful song by Leonard Cohen. We'll have now a coffee break, but as for now, please remain seated until the heads of delegations have left this hall to take the family picture. After coffee break, the three parallel panels will begin at 11:20 in the 3 rooms just upstairs on this floor. You will see in which panel you are by looking at the first number on the top right side of your badge. Panel 1 is in room Lugano, panel 2 is room Bern, and panel 3 is in room Zurich. So, Your Excellencies, please follow the head of protocol. Thank you. Before we move to the coffee break, I would like to inform you that the coffee break, as well as the service at lunch, will be done by students of this school. I know that there are some students here in the hall, and I would like to thank them. Thank you very much for your work today. Thank you, and see you again after lunch. Thank you.